Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, and Blayne Gilmer from Southeastern 14, starting our bold prediction series. We will start with bold predictions for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Blake, you look like you're feeling bold.
Of course.
Go first.
Of course.
For Alabama football for this year.
All right. So these are, of course, all going to just connect. We're going to bat 100, we're going to bat 1,000 on these this season, I'm sure. I don't, again, some of these may not be that bold for some people, but I had a hard time coming up with these for different teams. I'm going to go with, I think, and I went back and forth on two, but I'm going to go with Malik Benson being an all SEC wide receiver. Now, it's kind of I guess I could go a little bit more bold and say he's going to be a first team all SEC wide receiver, but I'm just going to stay with all SEC wide receiver for now because I'd like to know who the quarterback's going to be first and see how that works out. And he may be catching passes from three guys this season, which maybe that could be my bold prediction is all three guys start a game at some point. But I'll go with Malik Benson. We've talked about him in the preview and such. Just a guy with so much speed, top JUCO guy. And I think you just look at the numbers there and you watch the highlights, you see what Nick Saban said about him already from what he's seen. And I think there's just too much momentum, even though, as we talked about, guys, there's a lot of production returning at that wide receiver group. I still think, though, this guy's too good to ignore. And so I think he may wind up just being a really kind of one of those breakout stars that we've seen before in an Alabama type offense. So.
All right. So Blake's going offense. I'm going defense. And I'm actually going to add a little bit to, just to make it a little bit more bold, add a little bit to what I had coming in. Alabama last year was 13th in turnovers forced in the SEC. The only team worse than them was Auburn in terms of forcing turnovers. I'm going to say they go all the way from 13th to 1st this year on their defense in forcing turnovers, and that is in part because of Caleb Downs in the back end of that secondary. My second part of it is that I think Caleb Downs will be an All-American as a freshman.
Wow.
That's the bold prediction there. I think he's going to be a All-American. I don't know if it'd be first, second, third team, whatever, but not a freshman All-American, a outright All-American as a freshman as a starting safety for Alabama. Listen, when you talk about Jordan Battle, DeMarco Hellams, all these guys that were on the back end, good football players for Alabama, did a lot of good things. Some of them are getting a chance to play in the NFL. They're not as good as Caleb Downs. They're not as good as some of the guys they have stepping up in that secondary. And I think with going from Pete Golding to Kevin Steele there as the defensive coordinator, I think they're going to be more aggressive on defense. I think Saban and Steele are going to be more in line on how they want to play defense. And I think that physical mentality that Tommy Rees is bringing on the offensive side of the ball is going to make that defense even that much better with the talent they have. They're going to be more athletic at linebacker with Tresman Marshall coming over instead of Henry To'oTo'o at the middle. I'm just telling you, I think all of that makes for Alabama creating a lot of havoc and a lot of turnovers. I think they go from 13 to 1st, and Caleb Downs is an All-American this year, Chris.
That is a bold prediction, but you have been on Caleb Downs for a while. You've seen him play. You have been consistently high on him for months, so I shouldn't be shocked that you did that. Okay, guys, I batted around several. I thought about no Alabama quarterback throws for more than 1,500 yards. Couldn't go there because I think they're going to settle on somebody. I don't know who. Thought about Justice Haynes leading the team in rushing, but they got some other backs ahead of him that have logged some experience there and are good players. So, Blayne, I kind of went with your sentiment. Here's what I did. Dallas Turner leads the SEC in sacks. We have seen Will Anderson rack up sacks. You mentioned them being more aggressive. Dallas Turner was a 5-star prospect out of high school. He's had a nice career at Alabama. I don't know if I wouldn't say to disappoint, but he's not been the headliner. Of course, they had Will Anderson. And where I am nervous about this pick is not having Anderson on the other side to sort of take some attention. But it feels like, hey, it's Alabama, it's Dallas Turner. They'll figure it out. So I'm going to go with Dallas Turner to lead the SEC in sacks. And if he does that, Blayne, that might make your prediction more apt to come true also.
Oh, yeah, and Chris Braswell on the other side is a heck of a pass rusher. They've got guys behind those guys like Jihad Campbell and Jeremiah Alexander that people forget Alabama has recruited better, even better than Georgia over the last 2 or 3 recruiting cycles. So some of this talent's going to start coming to fruition, and Dallas Turner's not going to be on an island over there. I think some of these guys were real young, and Will Anderson kind of had to shoulder a bigger burden than maybe he needed to shoulder, and they tried to do too many different things with him. Maybe Pete Golden did, dropping him out in coverage, doing all that kind of stuff. I think Dallas Turner's going to be able to just go play football at that same linebacker position and go after the quarterback. So I like that a lot.
All right, those are our bold predictions for Alabama football. We will be doing them for every single team in the SEC. This is our first, as we do this tonight. Best way to catch all those, hit that subscribe button. If you hit the like button, that helps our analytics. For Blayne Gilmer and Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon with more bold predictions for your favorite SEC team.